Yes, we got guys in the studio shooting some round ball out there. Hey, we're going to be joined now by Peter Lancaster from Birmingham, Alabama, WBTM TV 13. Also, Pick 6. What is it? Sportsshow.com.
Yes, sir.
And we welcome Peter right now to Memphis in the morning. Peter Lancaster.
Peter, you should have seen that crossover I put on Josh.
There we go, Peter. You there?
It was unbelievable.
Hey, gentlemen, what's going on? Good morning.
All right. Hey, welcome to the show, my friend.
I'm happy to be here.
Most definitely. And, you know, Peter, definitely glad to have you here on Memphis in the morning. And
hey, you should have seen these guys trying to shoot basketball in the studio here a few minutes ago, Peter.
yeah, I got to kill it.
None of the trash hit the garbage can.
You know, you didn't have to get my field goal percentage.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about
Pete, you should have
that.
seen that killer crossover I put on Josh.
Yes.
Nice.
It was quite unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause it's not-
It didn't happen.
he kind of looked like the unbelievable process of what Memphis trying to do is bring Mike Miller to Memphis.
Oh, here we go.
Anyway,
I don't know why you're Mike Miller.
okay, all right.
But, you know, before we get to that, Peter, I want to ask you, why are so many teams interested in Greg Oden right now? Because it seems like he's one of the most sought-after guys right now by a lot of big-time teams. What do you think about it?
Well, I guess it's just the lure of getting the first overall pick for, you know, probably a vet minimum contract.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, teams, I think, still think that he has, some potential and could come in and possibly, give their team a little boost off the bench. I don't think any of these teams are looking for him to come in and play starter minutes or maybe even contribute right out of the gate. They just see him as a player who, who might be able to, revive his career. And remember Sam Bowie when he had all those injuries, all those years in Portland, he still played for like a good 6 or 7 years afterwards for various teams like the Nets. And, was a productive post player. He wasn't all-star level, but he was a very good NBA veteran. So, I don't know, maybe that's how a lot of teams are viewing Greg Oden, but when Oden came in, he was right up there with Durant, but Oden on every draft board was the number 1 overall pick. So, he was a can't miss type prospect. So, I think that plays to his favor in trying to land a new contract.
I'll tell you what, Pete, this Fred, I watch Oden play a little bit, the few games that he has played, and I really like his game. I think when he's healthy, he can be a defensive stopper, most definitely. And I think I'm going to ask you this. I was looking at some of the numbers in relation to the salaries they're talking about. They're thinking about paying him. What was it, between $2-3 million a year, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think he's worth that investment? And how will whoever assigns him, will he affect the cap at all?
The teams that are looking for him obviously got just a little bit of wiggle room, but I think Oden probably, just like Bynum did last week, signing his contract, it will probably be very incentive heavy. I doubt they'll have more than $1 million or $2 million guaranteed. So teams that that could take a chance on a former number 1 overall draft pick for $2 million, and that person comes in to contribute. He's worth every bit of $2 million of guaranteed money.
Yeah,
and,
go ahead.
And with the teams that are looking for him to come in, you got teams like the Kings and the Pelicans and some other young teams. He might actually come in and be able to help out some of these younger teams. You got like Anthony Davis there, the Pelicans. You got DeMarcus Cousins. With the Kings, all that he's been through, I bet you he would be a great influence on some of these younger players to take advantage of the moment and not let it slip by, because those are 2 guys right there who could be future NBA All-Stars, and having a guy like him who's been through the fire the last 5 years and trying to stay on the court, I bet he would be a positive influence in that locker room.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see how he looks. Because from all I'm hearing, the workouts, of course, they want to see what he looks like beforehand, and it looks like he's impressing pretty well. And I even know, which would be kind of scary if he's healthy. Miami was looking at him as well. Which
now have they laid off him now? Because I know at the beginning that's all everyone was talking about, Miami. And has Miami gone cold on him, or what's going on with that?
Well, see, with Miami though, Miami is they're over that luxury tax.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why they had to get rid of
Mike Miller.
Mike Miller. But if they have they call it a mid-level exception. If they get paid, if they could use that, they don't get taxed extra for that contract. They used one of them on Ray Allen, so that might be why they cooled off on him.
Okay.
I don't think they had that mid-level exception to use on Greg Oden. Some of the other teams do have a little bit cap space still before they go to the luxury tax to sign him. So that's probably why they probably knew they would probably get outbid.
Mm-hmm. Okay, definitely. And another guy, as far as Mike Miller is definitely, these are the two most sought after guys in free agency right now, which really shows how dried up the market is compared to what it was earlier. But what do you think about that situation as far as where it is right now? I know a lot of news is expected to come out today to some point as far as a decision. I know Memphis met with him yesterday. But what do you think?
Kudos to Mike Miller this late in his career, having two teams, title contending teams, or at least in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
That must be nice to know that you're still that well sought after by two teams who really are looking for that punch off their bench. Mm-hmm. And we've said on this show before, Mike Miller, he's not going to be expected to come in and play just crazy amount of minutes and score a bunch of points. I mean, he's will have a very specific role in the team, which is come in on big games and knock down that three. And I think he could rise to that challenge. And a roster, that Memphis has right now, man, he'd be a perfect fit. But I still think Memphis would have to make some moves to free up a little bit more cap space. And to free up, playing time, because that there's a logjam there at small forward now that we haven't had an issue with, in quite a while.
Yeah, well, Peter, I don't think they have to free up too much playing time. Mike Miller, with his back problems, is not going to be able to play too much.
You love to point that out.
He can get out there and probably, when he's hot, get him out there for about 3, 5 or 6 minutes, let him hit a couple of threes, and then, now you got to take him out again. So, it's going to be a waste of time to try to free up a lot of space, and just for this guy that's not going to be able to perform for a lengthy period of time out on the floor. What do you think?
I think we should do an investigative report and find out what Mike Miller did to poor Bob.
I don't know. It's crazy. I'm telling you, look, we don't need him. Look, I don't think, as far as playing time, I'm not that concerned about that.
No, me.
You just need him to stretch the floor, to play a few games. Use him like Miami used him.
Exactly.
They didn't use him in the season. They used him a little bit when they, get him a little run, let him get fresh and, show off on TV or whatever. But mainly in the playoffs is when they needed him, and that's when he performed.
But you got to understand, too, that Mike Miller, you're trying to say, okay, is he a good fit for Memphis right now? He was a good fit when he was here before, but you got to understand this, too. A lot of those players that were playing with Mike Miller are no longer here. Okay, so now how is he going to come in and fit with the present guys and the administration and the team? Is it going to be a perfect fit, or it can't be it's not a family reunion because you don't have everybody there anymore?
What do you think, Peter?
I think Mike will, when he comes in, he knows what's expected of him. He's not going to come in and
look for
have a lot of demands and even have a lot of demands on shooting the ball. So,
not look for Pau Gasol or where's Stromile Smith or anything like that.
Stromile High Smith.
Jason Williams isn't there anymore. Yeah, I don't think that really matters. The team that we have now is fine. We won't need him to play a ton, because it's clearly a good team as it is. And I think one thing we have on our side as far as getting Mike Miller is, his relationship with Dave Yeager. It seemed like they're really close. I know he was an assistant on the team when.
I will agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you agree. But
Pete, what do you think
go
he's
ahead.
going to demand money-wise?
Mike, I think he'll be in the $2 to $3 million range, and I think I think for him, he's probably looking more for the best situation because he's still going to get paid the remainder of that money.
There was 12.8 coming from Miami.
Yeah, close to $13 million. So it's not the money situation with him if he goes anywhere, because I don't think anybody's going to pay him that much, number one. And then the next thing is, the Grizzlies, he's got this the money, just Miami's going to, guarantee him. So, I mean,
Does Mike Miller owe you money,
no. Listen, at this present moment, I think Mike Miller ought to be happy wherever he goes.
Something
What's going on, man?
You guys treat Mike Miller like he's this big superstar or something. I mean, God,
He's a super shooter.
Well, okay. All right.
Come on.
Pete, when are we going to start the investigation?
I'm telling you, man, it's great. And, I understand where Bob's coming from, too. I totally get it. I mean, we can't put all of our hopes into Mike Miller.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what – I think what we want is we want that guy who can knock down that three and come off the bench. And if he's hot, he stays in. If he's not, he comes out. And I think Mike, better than anybody, has assumed that role. And he played, he didn't really play a whole lot of minutes there in Miami. I mean, there was a lot of games in playoffs he barely played. So, he's all about the team winning, and that's the kind of guys we need. And I don't think adding a veteran like him hurts at all. So, to me, the deal makes sense, but I can also understand Bob's stance where, it's put a lot of false hope in a player who has been injured prone here the last 4 or 5 years of his career. So I see both sides of it, but me personally, I just think Miller's that type of player. There's always that one guy that slips through the cracks during free agency, and he always becomes available after teams are trying to shed contracts and get out of their salary cap. And now with the luxury tax next off season, if you're over $71 million, you're going to get taxed $1 for every dollar you're over. So, getting a guy like Mike Miller right now for $2 million, and, he'll probably only sign like a 2 or 3 year contract. You get him for $6 million over the next 3 years. I really think that's a great deal for a player because, look, Memphis, for us to grow, we can't keep getting younger. We got to have a nice youthful base, yes, but we also got to look at the model of some of the most, successful franchises in the NBA the last 5 years. Look at the Spurs, what they've done. All they do is they find those veteran players who have a little left in the tank, and they sign these veteran league minimum type contracts, which are about anywhere from $3 to $4 million a year. And that's all they do. They just recycle those guys over and over, and they keep finding these guys. And the Grizzlies have that nice foundation laid to where now we're a team who could find these type players every year who want to get on a team that can contend for a title. And a guy like Mike Miller would be a great example of how a guy can come in late in his career, come in and still make an impact on a quality team, and who could play major minutes in big games, and kind of take it easy during the regular season, and not be playing 18 to 20 minutes. But these big playoff type games, that we need those clutch veteran players. I could easily see Mike playing at least 15 minutes.
Which would be perfect for what we need, definitely. And
let me say this, Peter. I must, and I honor and I recognize Mike Miller for his stamina, and the man he's got some heart. When you get out there and play, and back pains are no joke. Okay, and some people compare, would you rather have a backache or a toothache? Either one of those are painful, okay? When you can get out there and you can play with a backache as well as he does and still get out there and perform and play as a team player and then get out there and hit the 3 points like he does, then, hey, my hat's off to the guy. But I just like you said, we just can't put all our hope into him coming here and to perform like this guy that this going to be this superstar. I don't think we can get our expectations that high. But I do think that Mike Miller still has a little bit in his tank. But I think, we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think it's going to be exactly like a lot of people in Memphis are looking for Mike Miller to be if he comes to Memphis. I think he's going to Oklahoma himself.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we're full circle right there. But definitely. And I do get what Bob's saying. As far as Grizzly fans way too high expectations for Mike Miller. Expecting that same 6 Man of the Year that you had years ago. I mean, that's just being delusional at one point. But it will be interesting to see what happens as the days go on, and really, actually, as today develops, you never know what may come out. But another thing, as far as college football is concerned, I know we got about 7 minutes here to talk with you, Peter. What do you think about Barry Brunetti? I don't know if you heard about the situation going on with him being cited for marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, as they put it, on the commercial appeal. That he was being interviewed by the police, and he cracked under the pressure and confessed that yes, he smoked marijuana the day before. Now, what was funny about the situation, they didn't even arrest him for drugs. They didn't arrest him at all. They brought him in for questioning about something else that had nothing to do with him, but he cracked and said he had weed and he smoked it the other day, which had nothing to do with what they were interviewing him for. But what do you think about that, Peter?
Man, really, what can you say, man? I mean, I guess his guilty conscience caught up with him, huh?
I'm telling you, man, that was hilarious, man. I just had to share that story with you if you hadn't heard it.
Yeah, no, that's the first I heard of it, and I was going to write about this week, just about college sports and the state of it right now. Everybody's all infatuated with what Johnny Manziel did at the Manning camp, and what's Johnny football doing now? What party is he at? There's a real epidemic right now in college football with these guys getting arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, last weekend alone, there was 5 different arrests that had happened, and it just blew my mind. You had, multiple players from Ohio State get in trouble. You had the situation in Middle Tennessee State with, a crime that happened in November of last year, where a girl was being choked multiple times, and 2 teammates stood by and watched it
on video.
Did he have a guy with West Virginia, the Mountaineers, charged with first-degree armed robbery?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Peter, those guys at Middle Tennessee you're talking about, those guys have been suspended.
Yes, from the team.
But you just got all these different. I mean, I just never heard this many in such a short amount of time, and it kind of gets glazed over because everybody's more worried about did Johnny Football go out and did he tweet this picture and did he and it's like there's big issues going on here, and it's not at it's at some major institutions too. I mean, Ohio State, man. I mean, that's 4 guys in like a week's time that were either arrested or accused of something, and it's just it's like it doesn't get half the airplay. That a story about Johnny Football going out and partying up down there somewhere allegedly on Bourbon Street. It just blows my mind, and this that issue needs to be addressed at some point.
Now, do you think it's a culture being instituted by coaches? I mean, how much responsibility should coaches take? Because I know Urban Meyer's taking a lot of heat right now for certain things, even, when it comes out more and more about the stuff that happened at Florida when he was there, and now, people criticizing him because it's happened at Ohio State since he's only been there, a year. So do you think that how much responsibility should a coach have?
Oh, I was watching, and I sent you guys a link at the Talkback Live handle on Twitter. Spurrier was on with Paul Feinbaum. They did an interview with him, the World Muschamp.
Yeah.
Y'all check that out later. But he talks in that. You take a player's playing time away, that straightens it up real quick if they really want to be a part of that program. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what needs to happen. I think there needs to be severe suspensions that happen. Because, let's be honest, this is like, this is an opportunity you have. This is not, something that's given just to anybody. And I hate seeing these young men not being held accountable for these decisions. Because if you or I did this, there wouldn't be these, we wouldn't have these good graces of a lot of other opportunity. We would have to, make our way back through again. See what I'm saying? And I think these guys are just given too long of a rope. Because yes, they do bring a lot of money and prestige to these schools, but at what cost? You got some of these guys accused of hitting women, choking women, armed robbery. I mean, come on, man, that's serious stuff, and people, in the community, they don't deserve to feel threatened by a college athlete.
Exactly, and it really is getting to a point now where it's getting ridiculous, and really in pro and college football, it's crazy how this has all started in this offseason, and I really think something has to be done really on both fronts if they want to temper down what's going on.
Right.
And Peter Lancaster out of Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, guys, been a pleasure as always.
I appreciate it, guys. It's great being on with you. Memphis in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.